Hello, friends. Good evening, and welcome to the Friday webinar, which is on the book Conversations with Yogananda. And let us begin with the conversation for the evening. And today, we may take two or three conversations because they are interrelated. They are on the same theme as Swami has written them. So let me start with the 78th conversation to this evening. There are two aspects to the following stories. Swami writes, one is the petty opposition the master had to face continually in his life, which is a common phenomenon, unfortunately, in the life of every great human being, especially in the lives of saints and masters. The other aspect is the unfailing charity the master always displayed before opposition. These stories were not ones he would have told generally. He did tell them to me, however, perhaps to encourage me always to keep a non sectarian attitude. I hesitated at first to include them in this book, yet they convey salutary lessons on an all too common human trait. Sectarianism is one of the meannesses of the heart, as Sri Yukteswar called them, pride of pedigree. Even among the followers of great men, and Sri Ramakrishna was certainly a great man and also a great master, sectarian attitudes are unfortunately all too common. In niches along the side walls of his little church in Hollywood, the master placed sacred images to represent other religious paths. Thus, he underscored the truth he had proclaimed in the very name of the church, self realization church of all religions. To Debi Mukherjee, an Indian disciple, he said, and these are the master's words, I would have liked to have a representation of Sri Ramakrishna in one of those niches, for although he isn't in a line of gurus, I have always had deep devotion to him and would have liked to honor him. In this country, however, too many of his disciples display a sectarian intolerance toward other expressions of India's teachings. Only because of their attitude, I have omitted him. The master was concerned, evidently, that those disciples might protest. He did not want his sweet act of devotion to become a cause for disharmony from others. Now, this is something which is very common, friends, these days, that often when the great master leaves the planet, the organization, the founder, when he leaves, the the many times it happens that disciples are not able to keep the organization to that same level of spirituality which was there in the time of the founder, which often happens because disciples, they somehow misinterpret the teachings of the great master. It is always that the great masters, they always agree on the subject, but it is the disagreement is always among the disciples. And this story also reflects the same mindset. Ramakrishna certainly was a great saint. He was an avatar, I perhaps, and he and as master often reiterated this fact that when any saint he becomes one with God, he is God, and there cannot be any comparison among the saints for that matter, because if a drop falls in the ocean, it becomes the ocean, then it doesn't remain a drop, and there cannot be any comparison whatsoever. Now this also indicates that the religion, sometimes it happens, and today also we see that religion, because of the superficial dissimilarities, you may say, because of the rituals, because of the traditions that we follow, people tend to fight over mundane things, you may say. And once there was this question which one of the disciples asked Yogananda. He said, sir, religion is often the matter of controversy, because religion, on the basis of religion, we see in history that so many wars were fought. So he asked him, sir, is it really necessary to follow any religion? Should religion be there in the world? And master said, he gave a very poetic answer to this question. He said, just because there is a fake gold ornaments, in this world, people do, sell the fake ornaments made of fake gold. it doesn't devalue the value of the original gold, which is to say that yes, people, if they disagree, people, if they misinterpret the religious practices, then yes, there is a lot of disagreement, there is controversy, there is fight, and but the what is the real purpose of religion? And that is why Master often used to signify this fact that religion, the fundamental religion, the job of the religion is to take you to God. And that is why he coined his organization as the name of his organization, which he founded in US, was Self Realization Fellowship. And he said that self realization is the goal, because self realization means that first of all understanding who we are, that we have all descended from the spirit, we are the spirit, but we have got body and a mind, so we find ourselves limited into this shell. And then our job is to again go back to the same source from where we have come, and that is the step by step process of self realization. And here he not only gave them this philosophy to people, but he also was in the line of gurus of coming from Babaji and Christ and Lahadi Mahasaya and Yukteswarji, the science of Kriya Yoga. He said that this Kriya Yoga is a very ancient science, and this science, which is a part of yoga, and yoga means union with God, is a scientific technique, and it will take you step by step to that goal of life which we are all aspiring to. But in the name, if you see, he also wrote the word fellowship. What does that word mean, fellowship, there? So self realization is the goal, and fellowship means sangha, or a communion, or if people staying together. And he said that first of all, fellowship is for the God, fellowship for the truth, but also for the truth seekers. And if any religion or any organization is helping people in that regard, taking the people towards this goal, towards God and self realization, then we have a fellowship with them also. And he did mention at many times that we must respect the faith and the religious sentiments of all the people, those who are there. And that is why if you see the church he founded, he called it the Church of All Religions. Very recently, at Ananda Village, we have celebrated the Temple of All Religion, which was recently inaugurated. And here, people of different faiths, people from different rituals or traditions, irrespective, they can come and practice the science of God communion, and they can meditate. So this was the main objective. He also at times he reiterated this fact that see religion as a shell. He used to say that religion is like a shell, but the shell may not give you the quality of the kernel which is hidden inside it. But if people, they just want to satisfy themselves with the shell, with the religious superfluosity, it is all right, because ultimately nobody can impose anything on anyone. But if people are little sensitive and they are conscientious, and they want to go into the deeper aspects of the religion, then the job of the religion is to also serve them the kernel of truth, which is the self realization. So this story perhaps indicates that how and why it is very important for the devotees and the disciples of any great master to keep that attitude alive even when they are not present in the physical body. And I remember that Swami Kriyananda ji, who is a direct disciple of Yogananda, in one of his satsangs he was mentioning that I do not want any one of you to go into the public and talk very personally about me or any of the gurus, because sometimes people have this impression, or people have this attitude, as he said, that my guru is the greatest. And when they try to project this, that unknowingly or unknowingly. But he said he always wanted in our organization, in Ananda Sangha, nobody to do that kind of thing. He said that if God is one, countless saints have come in different ages, and they have brought the same message to go back to God. And ultimately it does not matter. And if you see in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that it would be rather a folly to break anybody's faith. And yes, if people have people ask for a scientific way, then yes, we can share that scientific path with them. That is why, in a way, yoga and the science of yoga and Kriya Yoga is a absolutely non-sectarian thing. Irrespective. If you see in the time of, and this is the time, yesterday we celebrated the Mahasamadhi day of Lahadi Mahashay. We call it that Lahadi Mahashay was the person who Babaji, gave this responsibility to revive this ancient science of God realization, Kriya Yoga. And on 30th of September, we will be celebrating his birthday also. If you see, in his own lifetime, Lahadi Mahashay was giving Kriya Yoga to all the people, and sometimes they were of different religions. Many of the disciples of Lahadi Mahashay were Muslims, and some of them were Christians. And Lahadi Mahashay never discriminated on the basis of caste, creed, or color. And he always said that yes, yoga is the kernel, you may say. Yoga is that scientific technique which you have to practice, but he also gave them the freedom to practice all their traditions, irrespective of whatever the religion they belong to. So to Muslims, he was saying yes, you can offer namaz 4 times a day. To Hindu also, he was saying yes, you should offer puja and prayers 4 times in a day. And similarly to a Christian, he used to say that you should go bend on your knees and pray 4 times in a day. So irrespective, so that is the kind of the culture, you may say, our line of gurus have created. So there should not be any sectarian approach. So with this, let me continue with the other conversation, which is interconnected here. Often when the master and I were alone, he would reminisce about episodes in his life. He made it clear, among other things, that he deplored sectarianism, which, as he indicated, is all too prevalent among even the sincere followers of good paths. Once he told me, a group of monks from the Vedanta Society arrived in America from India, and these are the words of Master Yogananda. Out of love and devotion for their master, Sri Ramakrishna, I wanted to make them feel welcome and invited them to a lunch at the Encinitas Hermitage. We gave them a good Indian feast. As they were leaving, I asked them if they would like to sign our guest book. They looked at one another hesitantly, as if asking whether by signing our book they might in any way compromise themselves. They resolved their dilemma by signing their names in Bengali. Seeing them do that, I felt like saying to them, please don't sully your names. Now, Swamiji writes here that I remember thinking when the master told me that story, such narrowness of spirit could never enter the hearts of master's disciples. He has trained us too clearly in attitudes of universal generosity and love. Has this remained so? I only ask the question. So if you see, Swamiji in a way is sharing these stories for this for basically this purpose, that as a disciple of a great master, we should not fall into that folly of showing our master as the greatest. So let me take another conversation if we have some more time, and this is regarding a similar theme, that how master used to manage when he used to face opposition and what was the attitude he showed at that time. Yogi Khagen was from India and was the master's disciple. Motivated by the common failing envy, he eventually turned against his guru. He continued to teach, however, and was lecturing one evening in Phoenix, Arizona, when out of the blue he asked, is anyone here a member of Self-Realization Fellowship? Several of those present stood up, expecting to hear words of appreciation for the master and his work. Instead, what they got was a tirade against the master and his organization. Deeply offended, several of them telephoned the master that evening in Los Angeles and reported this outrage. Thank you for telling me, the master said. I will take care of the matter. Thus, he relieved them graciously of any further responsibility in the situation. Next, He telephoned Yogic again. What he said to him, however, was not at all what anyone expected. God bless you, he said. For the good that you are doing, I bless you. Our gurus bless you. He said nothing about the episode of the previous evening. Always, when facing negativity, his way was, if possible, to emphasize something positive. Now, this is, I think, one of the central themes of the path of yoga, because on the path of spirituality, not only great masters had to face a great opposition, but it is certain that disciples too will have to face opposition in something, in one way or the other. Often, Swami Kriyananda used to say that I eat opposition and persecution for my breakfast cereals, and this is how sometimes he used to just take them lightly. He used to tell us, and he used to tell everybody that this is a part of life, especially when you are doing good work, or especially when you want to do good work in this world, you are bound to get resistance. And similarly, this was a story which Swamiji shared, that his own disciple, out of envy, he he just started his own organization, and then he started projecting master into bad light. But what the if you could see how, with what attitude master responded, that is the same attitude which we have to keep when we face the similar opposition in our lives. I was reading this book, Demystifying Patanjali, and it is one of the simpler versions which Swami wrote, and these are the Yogananda's insights as he has written in this book while writing that book. And here Patanjali writes that the final goal of the yoga path is to have equanimity, come what may. And Swami often used to say that I have made peace as my bottom line, irrespective of how people treat me, irrespective of the situations I have to deal with. I always like to see that my heart remains undisturbed, because it is the chitta which often gets disturbed, when if we are attached to, let us say we are attached to the respect for our guru or loyalty for our guru, and somebody is not talking to him or talking for him in the same light. Sometimes disciple may get offended, but we must understand that gurus are triguna rahitam. They are not, nobody can sully their name. It is actually people themselves, those who are in ignorance, if they have not understood the point, that they do these things. And great gurus can never get offended. They are beyond all these human kind of human failings or human emotions, you can say. And just like in this conversation itself, master was blessing him. He was saying, whatever good you are doing, it is all the great masters are blessing you. So I think with that, with those words, we can make this as our bottom line in our lifetime, because people will oppose us, you will receive opposition in so many things. And if we are glued to that central reality, if we are praying to him all the time, if we can feel God's presence in our heart all the time, then you will see that he will give you so much joy, and he will give you so much peace in your heart, that in a fraction of a second, if you dive within yourself, you can remain unaffected by what people are saying or what they are doing to you. So with those words, I would like to take your leave. Have a great weekend ahead, and enjoy the God's peace. Enjoy and always stay in God's love and God's bliss. Thank you.